Would you let a stranger sleep in your village morgue? In Yumukiri? We did. And by morning, the body inside was gone and so was he. But what if I told you? His name had been in the death register for the past 3 years. This is no legend. It happened. I saw it myself. Subscribe now so you never miss the stories our ancestors are too afraid to tell out loud. Asterisk as told by Elder Uzodima of Yumukiri. You see, not every story is meant for the ears of children. Some things, even we elders hesitate to speak of them for fear they might hear in return. But I will tell you, because you asked, and because silence is what let it happen in the first place that it began during the cold harmattan of 1996 in our village of Yumukiri, which lies just beyond the Oji River. That was the year the rains delayed, and death came often and stayed too long. I was a caretaker of the village clinic, a modest place with only 2 beds, a cabinet of expired medicine, and a small adjoining room we used as a makeshift morgue. That room had no cold storage, just cement floors and thick windows that barely let light in. We laid the dead there with respect and palm fronds, and we always buried them before sundown. That was our custom. One Tuesday afternoon, a strange man arrived. He walked in with a quietness that made even the goats outside stop chewing. Tall, dark-skinned, and gaunt, like someone coming off a long journey. He wore a gray wrapper, carried no bag, and had a cracked leather Bible tucked under his arm. His eyes, I still remember them. They were yellow, not from jaundice. I've seen jaundice before. His were old yellow, like the eyes of a goat that's been watching the world for too long. "Good afternoon, sir," I said. "Are you sick?" He shook his head slowly. "I'm not here for medicine," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I need a place to stay for the night." I blinked. "A place to stay here?" He nodded. "I heard you have a morgue." I was stunned. "The morgue? That place is for the dead." "Yes," he said, without blinking. "I would like to stay there." I told him no, of course, at first, but he wasn't aggressive. He didn't beg either. He just stood there quietly until my skin began to crawl. I told him to go to the Izzy's compound for proper lodging. He said, "They won't take me." When I asked why, he said, "Because I've already left once." What did he mean by that? Before I could think further, the village reverend, Father Emenike, passed by and saw us talking. The stranger bowed and greeted him warmly. Father nodded slowly, like he recognized him, but said nothing. That was the second strange thing that happened that day. Later that evening, when the sun began to drop and the dry wind filled the air with red dust, I found myself unlocking the morgue for him. Don't ask me why. To this day, I don't know what made me do it. He lay down on the cement floor, using his Bible as a pillow. "I won't disturb anything," he said. "Just lock the door behind me. I'll be gone before dawn." I turned the key slowly and walked home, my back itching the whole way. That night, I did not sleep. At around 2 a.m., the dog that sleeps outside my window, old Kalu, started barking in a way I had never heard. Not anger, not fear, confusion. I got up, grabbed my lantern, and crept toward the clinic. But before I reached the door, I saw something that chilled my bones. The lantern in the morgue was still lit, though I had not left any fire there, and shadows more than one moved behind the thick frosted window. I turned around and walked home. I told myself I saw nothing. The next morning, I arrived at the clinic expecting to find him gone. The door was locked just as I had left it, but when I opened it, he was lying exactly where I left him. Only now, he looked cleaner, healthier, like he had slept in a palace. "Thank you," he said, and walked out before I could ask anything. He did not look back. That should have been the end, But 2 days later, the body of an old woman, Mom and Kim, who had passed the night before, was missing from the morgue. Her burial was scheduled for that morning. When her children came to wash her body, the room was empty. We thought it was thieves. We reported it to the chief, but the corpse was never found. A week after that, it happened again. Pa Koro, a retired hunter, died in his sleep. We kept his body overnight to prepare for a Christian burial. By morning, he too was gone. The door had been locked. No sign of forced entry, but the lantern was still burning. Now listen carefully. It was always the same when the lantern burned through the night. The body vanished by morning. After the third time, we knew something was wrong. That Sunday, Des called the council of elders, and I confessed about the stranger. I told them everything. His request, the yellow eyes, the shadows, the missing corpses. You know what Elder Idu said? He said he came back for what belonged to him. Then we remembered. Years ago, in the early 70s, a young man named Obidike was buried alive by mistake. He had fallen sick and slipped into a coma, and the villagers, thinking he was dead, buried him within the hour. This was a custom back then. His mother swore she heard scratching from the grave, but no one listened. We thought she had gone mad from grief. The name hit me like thunder, Obidike. I ran to the old death register, and there it was, Obidike, son of Ojiako, died April 1971. Buried same day, no postmortem. I rushed to Father Eminike and told him everything. He listened quietly, then sighed. I recognized him that day. He said, I was just a deacon when he died. I remember the burial, so we exhumed the grave. The coffin was empty, no bones, no body, only a torn Bible. That very evening, word spread that the stranger had returned. But this time, he was knocking on the doors of the families whose dead had vanished, returning something to them, one by one. A bracelet, a cloth, a small tooth wrapped in white linen. Then he disappeared. Some say he was a spirit, reclaiming his place among the dead. Others say he was a revenant, a soul that had once belonged to the living, and now walks between worlds, finding others like him and helping them leave properly. The clinic morgue was destroyed. We never used it again. We now bury the dead, immediately, with salt and charcoal, as is the custom revived by our ancestors. As for me, I see him in dreams sometimes. He says nothing, just sits by the window, holding a lantern that never goes out. So if a stranger ever comes to your village and asks for a room in the morgue, don't say yes. But if you do, don't lock the door. Let him come and go freely, because some guests are older than our fear, and some doors are better left open than forced shut. Some guests never really leave, and some names shouldn't be spoken after dark. If this tale chilled you to the bone, there's more where that came from. Tap subscribe now and join the circle of truth keepers. This is African folklore, real, unforgettable.